Hello, my name's Haley.
Hi, I'm Claire.
Nice to meet you. I just wanted to let you know our confidentiality policy. So everything we say today is confidential unless I feel that you're at risk for harming yourself or somebody else, or if a child's at risk.
Okay.
Is that okay to you?
Yep, sounds good.
So what have you come in today to talk about?
Well, I came in to talk about my husband's drinking. He drinks every day, and I come from an alcoholic family, so I've seen this. My father drank every day, and here I've done it again. He's drinking.
So your husband's been drinking, and you've dealt with this in your family because your father also drank.
Yes, yeah. My husband doesn't drink the same way. He has a drink every day for sure, and then on the weekends, like we'll party it up. And so, we drink on the weekends a lot, but, my dad used to drink first thing in the morning, so it's just, I'm thinking about, us starting a family, and then I see these similarities, so it's bothering me.
So you're really worried because you want to start a family, but you're worried that your husband might start acting how your father did when he was drinking.
Yeah.
So how was your father when he was drinking in your family?
I remember him in the later stages where he would drink and black out, and the saying that he's a nice guy when he's sober. Well, yeah, he wasn't a nice guy when he was drunk.
So you're saying that when your father was drinking and when he was drunk, he would black out, and he wasn't really nice at all when he was drinking.
No, he wasn't nice.
Can you explain that a bit more to me? Like, how did he act?
Well, he was very male chauvinist, so women didn't matter, and so he wasn't nice to my mom. He was verbally abusive. He would tell her that she wasn't good enough. I just remember some pretty bad events where mom was just crying while he was telling her how she wasn't worth anything.
So you saw your mom being very upset about this because it sounds like your dad tended to attack your mom when he was drinking verbally.
Yeah, well, he would do it to anybody. I mean, he used to pick fights with my brothers at the dinner table, Sunday night dinner. Everyone's around, and all of a sudden we've got a fight happening. It wasn't nice.
So it affected everyone in your family.
Yeah. So when I see this, I mean, my husband hasn't done any of those things, but I think about having a family with him, and it was fun when we're single, but or when it's just the two of us. But he can't stop. He has to have a drink every day.
So it sounds like you're comparing your husband's drinking to your father's drinking.
Yes. Yeah.
So how does your husband act when he's drinking? Does he act like your father did, or?
He's a funny guy. He takes a lot of risks. That's a good question. I have to think about that for a bit. He's, it's just that he denies that he has a problem. I mean, he drinks and drives, and you just can't do that. And, he just won't stop doing stuff like that.
So he denies that he has a drinking
problem?
problem?
He doesn't have a drinking problem. And my dad did the same thing. I can see that, he likes to whoop it up, and I do too,
Earlier you mentioned how you guys drink on the weekends. So does he mainly drink on the weekends, or is it daily?
No, he drinks daily.
Okay.
He drinks daily. I'll drink on the weekend, sometimes during the week, but most of the time just on the weekend. But, we get pretty hammered,
So do you often drink with him as well?
Yeah, on the weekends for sure. For sure, yeah. There's been a few Mondays that I've been hungover at work, or I just don't go in because I'm sick.
So it sounds like you came in to talk about your husband's drinking problem, but it sounds like you're also drinking quite often with him as well.
Yeah, funny, I wasn't a big drinker before I met him, but I've gotten into a good routine, But, you know, if I was to have kids, I would look at curbing that or eliminating it, yeah.
Do you think his drinking kind of influences you to drink more than what you would normally?
Well, you know, so I'm kind of an introvert. I'm shy, and I find that you know, we have lots of people over, and it helps me socially. I can get out of my shell when I'm drinking, so I kind of like, I use it for that. You know.
So it sounds like you use drinking to help with social anxiety. Do you drink at all to help with anything else, or?
Well, yeah. Sometimes my husband, you know, when someone's mad at me, I don't like it. So, and they just can, you know, when someone's that close to you, it's pretty intense. And so when he's mad, I drink so I don't feel it, and then I can change his mind. When he's drinking, he's a little bit happier.
So it sounds like you also use alcohol to avoid intense emotions from your husband.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, because he can get pretty mad. And it's okay when he's angry with somebody else, but when it's directed at me, it's pretty intense, and so, yeah, it's easier not to feel it. It's hard.
So
I'm not proud of that, but yeah.
would you say you're also dependent on alcohol, or would you say you're different compared to him?
I don't use it the same way he does. I mean, he has to have it every day to relax. I mean, I'm only doing it on weekends.
And you think that's healthy to be drinking every weekend to the point where you're not able to make it to work on Monday?
Well, maybe. Lots of people do it. No, I'm serious. No, I should not probably be doing that. That's not a responsible adult. But, you know, sometimes it's been a fun weekend, you know, blow off some steam. But if I was to start a family, I would want to slow down or stop.
Mm-hmm. So you would also like to stop drinking as well as your husband to stop drinking so that you can have a family with him, because you feel like you can't unless this issue is fixed.
Yeah. Well, is this drinking too much? Am I making too much out of it? You know, other people do it all the time. Like they do, you know, drugs, marijuana, and alcohol. Like, is this any different than? Is it normal? Is it abnormal? You know, I've seen a lot of people with kids and, you know, holding down jobs and still drink like fish. So you know.
Well, usually a lot of times when people are especially like dependent on it, like they need to have it, that's when it's especially an issue, especially when you said it's caused problems in your life and you're worried about him drinking and driving. So these are some major issues.
Yeah, I don't want him to drink and drive, but if we had kids, you know, that would just, you know, the idea of passing this on to my kids would be too much, so.
So do you think, like, if he doesn't change, would you be able to stay with him to have a family?
Oh, wow. That's pretty intense. I would seriously have to consider whether I would stay or not. Yeah.
So what would be your goal? Like, what would you want to like start off with? Like, you just want to work through issues you've had in your life with alcoholism, or is your goal to try to confront your husband about his alcoholism? And
how about I wouldn't mind talking to my husband, but I don't know if I could get him in here because he doesn't have a problem. So I don't know. Is there any groups or anything?
Yeah, there's a few different groups. Like for you, I could recommend Al-Anon. It's for people who, like family members who have other like family members that are dealing with alcoholism, and it's just like you can talk to everyone as a group, and it just, a lot of people find it really helps.
So kind of like a support group?
Yeah, it's a support group.
Okay, and there's some in my area?
Yes, and I can give you the resources for that, so you know where to go if you're interested in that.
Okay, well, that sounds like something maybe I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're talking about their drinking, not mine though, right?
Yeah, about like people in your family, so you.
Because I'm not sure I have a problem.
Yeah, and we can always come in, like, if you want to, we can continue our discussions. If you want to come in again next week, if you feel like it, just to continue discussing what you're dealing with in your daily life with around alcoholism.
Okay, yeah, because this is kind of like, it might be a deal breaker, you know? And I really love my husband, but I'm hoping we can make it work, you know? Because it's been fun. It's been lots of fun.
So you're really hopeful in hoping that.
Yeah, he's a good man.
It'll
He's a
change.
really good man, except that he just, I don't know, maybe some people can drink like that and it's okay, but it seems to be bothering me now that I'm thinking about having kids.
Have you tried to ask him to stop drinking or go to any of these groups?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I mean, I didn't know that any of these things existed before, so.
Do you think that's something you could try to mention there's also other groups like he can go to as well, like an AA group for him himself to discuss his alcoholism.
Okay, what's AA?
It's also a support group, kind of like Al-Anon, but it's for the people who are dealing with alcoholism, and it's a 12-step program for him to kind of.
Could be something in the future, but he doesn't think he has a problem, you know, so I don't know how I'm gonna get him there.
Do you think you could get him here to me and maybe see if he will open up to me about it, and to see if he'll open up to maybe that he does have a problem?
Yeah, we could look at that. I could see if he comes in, but yeah.
So today we've been talking about, like, you came in to talk mainly about your husband's alcoholism that's been affecting you in your daily life, but also you're saying how you're comparing it to your father's alcoholism and how that has affected you greatly as a child, and how you do not want your husband to potentially be like how your father is with alcohol, and you're worried about starting a family because it sounds like you don't want your kids to grow up seeing that like how you've seen it.
Yeah, no, because my dad would, he'd black out. He wouldn't know what he had said or done when he was that drunk, and so we would all be hurting the next day, and it's like having dementia. He wouldn't know that he'd done anything wrong, and so he'd be fine, right? But the rest of us are hurting from all the words that he had said, you know, how the demeaning he had been, and yet, you know, we were affected by it. So no, I don't want that to happen in my family. I don't want to continue that on.
So that sounds like that's your main concern and worry, is that you don't want to start a family with him if he's gonna
be the same way.
Be the same way as your father, because that was very hard on you.
Yeah, I feel so messed up. Can't believe I would do that again. I mean, you know, when you're single and you find somebody and you're having a good time, and, you know, it's I never even thought about drinking and family, you know, but now that we're married, and now that we're going to be thinking about having kids, now it's an issue. And
so you kind of feel almost guilty that you put yourself in the same situation?
Well, yeah, or potentially. I mean, we haven't had kids yet, so, but it could, you know, I was hoping to break the cycle, and here I am, you know.
Well, at least you're coming in here to talk to me, which is a good step. So I think that's really good. And like I said, we can you can try to see if your husband will come in to talk to me about it, and see if we can bring up anything from that, and to see if he will maybe mention if he has a problem or not. And then you can also still come in to see me.
Yeah, well, maybe I do have some issues. I mean, you know, not going to work on Monday.
Did you want to work through that too? Like maybe trying to
How can-
not drink as much so
Yeah.
that on Mondays you're not to the point where you can't make it in?
Yeah, well, maybe, you know, social issues, like, there- how do you deal with, you know, being insecure in the middle of a group, a social group?
So maybe so it sounds like you have a social anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think when you come in then next week, do you want us to work through that and maybe how you could deal with social situations without having to drink in order to deal with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
So
Yeah.
next week, do you want to come in to work on those with me, and then also seeing if your husband will come in sometime, maybe next week or whenever you feel like he's ready, just to talk to me, and then we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
See you next week.
Okay.